Alright, what's good with it, Black Ghost family? We here, we back, we with another one. Y'all already know how we do it. Give me a second, let me get comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Let me make sure the sound's right. Let me make sure the stream's cool. Let me make sure everything's going good. We're gonna do it a little bit differently, a little bit more time for everybody to hop in the chat, cause sometimes y'all be late. It's Sunday night, you know what I'm saying? I already know we going into the week. It's gonna be Monday. A lot of y'all got work, some of y'all don't. Some of y'all looking for something to watch. Join right here, man. We're gonna be talking that boxing. Come in here only if you about the boxing. Don't come in here with none of that other bullshit. We ain't with that. You heard me? So you give me a minute. You know what I'm saying? Let's relax. You know what I'm saying? It's Sunday night. Let's not rush nothing. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure everything looking good. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing over here. Alright, I'm liking the sound. I think the sound sounds good, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna start just yet. I usually just hop right into it when the sound sounds good, but we gonna stay cool, you know what I'm saying? What's good with it, you know what I'm saying? Long day for your boy. I ain't did much. Sunday, I ain't did much, but you know what I'm saying? Just when you live in life, you live in life. So there's always problems. There's always something new. There's always something different, even when you think everything's going exactly the way you want it to go. Sometimes you get hit with them curveballs, man, and that be the bullshit, you know what I'm saying, you gotta deal with. But for the most part, you always want to keep rocking, you always want to keep doing what you plan on doing, you know what I'm saying? Don't ever let anything put a dent when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do a live. I actually have made videos that I wanted to put out, but I was like, man, let's go live tonight. I ain't doing nothing else tonight. You know what I'm saying? Let's go live. I like the live a lot better, more so than just putting the videos out and just letting everybody rock with it. I like going live a little bit better. So if y'all up in here right now, y'all see the topic, we be talking about Adrien Broner. Not necessarily Adrien Broner, but something he said that I thought was interesting. It was in this particular interview you guys are looking at. I'm not getting into it just yet. You know what I'm saying? We chilling. Enjoying the Sunday night. But if y'all in here right now, I want y'all to know that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about Adrien Broner possibly hinting. He's not hinting. He's saying it. He's putting it out there. He's saying that belts don't matter anymore. It's about money. You can have a belt, but that doesn't mean you're making money when it comes to boxing nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're gonna get into. I thought it was a very interesting statement by AB, and I think I like how this particular interview with Robert Garcia, how he basically agrees with what AB is saying, but we're not gonna get into it just yet, y'all. I want everybody to come up in here, you know what I'm saying? If y'all do come up into the chat, man, go ahead, throw a like, throw a subscribe, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna cool into things, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Zen. Zen was like, why don't you try a different format, you know what I'm saying? Go, you know what I'm saying, chill out a little bit, let people get up in here. Because some people might not be able to catch it till a little bit later, so I'm not going to start right off with the facts, you know what I'm saying? We're going to chill a little bit. But so y'all know, if y'all in here, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about, does money matter more than belts nowadays? Can you make more money being a non-champion than you can being an actual champion? Are we chasing big fights now, or are we chasing the belts? That's what the topic's going to be tonight, okay? So if you guys are interested in that topic, stay in the chat. If you're not interested in the topic, you know what I'm saying, maybe find somebody else you want to fuck with. Of course, as always, I want y'all to join in. I want y'all to go ahead and put your opinion out there. Even if it doesn't necessarily have to do specifically with what I'm talking about. Let me hear what you guys want to talk about. But as always, BlakGooseTV. Go check out the SoundCloud, SoundCloud/BlakGooseTV. Got all our songs up there. I know one that's hitting the waves right now is by Zen, Walk the Line. So go check that out. That's doing real good for the numbers. But if you guys would check out any of the songs, we'll appreciate that a lot. And yeah, man, keep supporting us. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. I'm gonna wait until 9 o'clock. I'm gonna give it that's 9 o'clock Central Time. I'm gonna give it till 9 o'clock. And we're gonna go ahead and start the discussion. I think that would be a good time to start it. What's good with it, young Zen? Zen's in the chat, man. We got the moderator in the chat. So once again, if we're gonna talk, if y'all gonna be in here, come respectful. We're keeping it boxing. Don't come with any bullshit, as always. But we got 4 minutes countdown till we actually start the chat and the discussion. Join me if you guys in here. Throw a like, throw a subscribe, whatever it may be. But we talking AB. We're talking, is his statement actually factual? Does money mean more now in boxing than actual belts? Can you actually, as a fighter, you know what I'm saying, you're coming as a young gun, you want to become a fighter. Back in the day, you envisioned being the champion, being the belt holder, having all the undisputed, all that good stuff. Has it changed now? Now people aren't envisioning the belts, people are envisioning the lifestyle. And is it possible to get that lifestyle from boxing without actually winning a belt? AB says yes. As you can see, I got this interview from E! News. You know what I'm saying? Big YouTube channel. So I'm pretty sure if y'all are in here, you already are aware of that channel. But we're gonna start this off with a interview from there with Robert Garcia, putting his thoughts on AB, saying that money means more than belts nowadays. And AB is basically saying, if you don't believe me, I am the #1 example for that. Okay, so we got 3 minutes. We counted down until we actually start this. I don't want to call it debate. Let's say discussion. I like that better. So shout out to everybody, man. Sunday night. Hopefully you guys enjoyed your weekend. Blessings to y'all going into your week. You know, as much as it's hard to stay, you gotta stay positive through the bullshit. Even though you don't always believe it, but you know. 2 minutes to count down, folks. There we go. There's the SoundCloud link. Zen just posted it in the chat, so you guys go ahead and check that out if you guys are interested in listening to any of the music that Black Goose is dropping. We'd appreciate that. We got 2 minutes counted down. We're gonna start this discussion. Remember, if you guys have any opinions on this, hop in the chat, man. Tell how you feel. If you guys are just watching it, then I appreciate that. Go ahead and drop a like. It would mean a lot. It helps the channel grow. As always, we're in our beginner stages right now, but we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep, you know, chugging along because we got some shit to share with y'all. So 1 minute counting down, y'all. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody being respectful as of now. Let's hopefully keep it that way. Got some things to talk about. Now, usually I don't want my streams to go on too long tonight. It's just been one of those days, man. So tonight, I'm just gonna let it go how it goes. I'm not gonna try and put a time limit on anything. We're just gonna talk the talk. Whatever happens from it, we're just gonna roll with it. It's one of those nights. We got 1 minute counted down. It's almost time to start up, y'all. All right, y'all, here we go. 9 o'clock. Everyone who's still in the chat right now, appreciate y'all. Anyone who's going to hop in the future, hopefully you guys can just understand or just kind of just find your way in what I'm already talking about. But as always, you guys know I like to set up my whole entire discussion with a, basically like it's like I'm forming an essay, you know what I'm saying? You got to put that you gotta let them know what we're about to talk about, and basically I'm getting my whole entire argument from this particular segment and this small segment in this interview done by, once again, E! News. This is Robert Garcia. Check this out.
We're all doing much better.
Would you rather go to a grocery store and tell them I'm a champion, or go to a grocery store and say I have 20 million in the bank?
20 million in the bank.
You would, yeah, exactly. That's what Broner tells me. You don't eat belt soup, because Broner says you can't eat with belts. It's nice to win, don't get me wrong.
It's our fucking business now.
But let's say Loma and Tank do fight. How do you see it on play?
Right now, the way.
All right, so that's it. That's all I wanted to go into when it comes to that interview. I don't like to play too long clips when it comes to other channels because you don't want to get flagged or anything like that. But if you guys did not catch that, I will go ahead and I'm gonna run it back one more time, okay? Just one more time.
Broner said you can't eat with belts. It's nice to win, don't get me wrong.
It's our fucking business now.
But let's say Loma and go to a grocery store and say I have 20 million in the bank.
20 million in the bank.
You would, yeah, exactly. That's what Broner tells me. You don't need belt soup because Broner said you can't eat with belts. It's nice to win, don't get me wrong.
It's our fucking business now.
But let's say Loma.
All right, so that's all I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys when it comes to that interview. We're going to move on from there. Why did I basically want you guys to hear that? Because it said right there, he was asking Robert Garcia, would you rather go to the grocery store with 20 million in the bank or 20 belts? He said, I want 20 million in the bank. And he's basically saying that's what Adrien Broner said. Now, obviously, he said this recently, but Adrien Broner's been, in my opinion, because I've been following him for such a long time, he's been preaching this from day one. Obviously, his whole motive, if you watched him, you know, if you were a big fan of Adrien Broner, him coming up and going through the ranks when he was really at the peak of his career, obviously he wanted to be as good as Floyd Mayweather. He wanted to be undefeated. But when he took that L, I think something switched and shifted in him when he realized boxing isn't what people try to make it out to be. Just because you take an L doesn't mean you can't still bring in those eyes and make people want to watch. Because before, in my opinion, on a consistent night, okay, I'm talking about consistent night. I'm not talking about just one. I think Adrien Broner was very influential. I think specifically, I think it's Adrien Broner who really changed the tide in boxing, where getting an L really doesn't matter. Because even though people can say, you know, Adrien Broner's trash, all of his outside antics, he has this, he has that, he could have been this, he could have been that, people still tune into his fights. Not only do they tune into his fights, but they will as well. If he comes back and fights in 2020, they still will. And I'm going to back that up because I obviously, this isn't about the numbers series or talk here, but I have the numbers up. I always have the numbers up to back up anything I'm saying when it comes to these. So these aren't just baseless claims, all right? I'm going to be straight up front. Broner's been one of my favorite fighters for a long time, but I'm going to be talking about this without emotion because this particular topic has nothing to do with emotion. I just thought, not only was it a very interesting point made by Adrien Broner, it was very interesting that someone like Robert Garcia, who's had fighters go up against Adrien Broner, beat Adrien Broner. He agreed with him and he said right after that it is a business now. Let me go ahead and turn this off now because we're not going to need this anymore. I don't want that interrupting me. Everybody in the chat, man, appreciate y'all being in the chat. We talking boxing, let's keep it boxing. If y'all got an opinion on it, go ahead and drop your opinion. So when it comes to the fact that Garcia himself said it's business now, it's different. He didn't necessarily say it's different, but he was implying it's a different game now. We're not necessarily talking about, oh, I want to be the undisputed. Oh, I want to be the belt holder. Because you see now, you can have fighters who have the belt, right? But if they're not heavily promoted by the promotion that they're signed under, someone's going to come up in those ranks and they're going to take that belt from them. It's basically like they'll give someone a belt just so they're going to be waiting in the lines for the person they really put money into to come up in the ranks and take that belt. It's really like he's just like, you're here for now, but you know you're not really a champion. And so what I get from what Adrien Broner is saying is like, look, like, yes, getting belts is important. Being undefeated, yeah, it's important. But at the end of the day, remember, that's the Floyd Mayweather syndrome. Floyd made being undefeated one of the most, like, specific and phenomenal achievements in the sport of boxing. Once Floyd did it, everybody wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying? Or at least when it comes to the casual boxing fan, they seen it as, oh, if you're not undefeated like Floyd, then you're not good. But I think Adrien Broner was very influential in changing that narrative, because he took an L and people kept saying, no one wants to see you fight again, Broner. No one wants to see you fight, but they came and saw him get a fight again. And he still talked that same shit like he was undefeated. Did it again, did it against Manny Pacquiao, and he's going to do it when he comes in 2020. And a lot of you guys might say, oh, well, nobody cared about those fights. People saw it for the other people's fights. I'm not even trying to talk about this now, but you already see the purse right here, right? So this is kind of, like, I don't even want to go into this facts yet. I don't want to talk about the purses yet, because that's basically what I'm going to use to support anything I'm saying. But you can see here, Broner and Garcia are making equal paychecks on Saturdays. Both earn a guaranteed purse of $1 million. We're talking about Broner, a dude who doesn't have a belt, to Garcia. He was a guy coming with a belt, okay, making the same payday. But I'm not going to get into that right now. That's gonna come later into the argument. What I want to point out is the fact that Garcia is acknowledging the fact that the game is changing right before our eyes. AB has something to do with that. Let me say this. We're getting out of the Floyd Mayweather era where being undefeated means something, and I'm happy. And AB has something to do with that. Conor McGregor has something to do with that. A lot of you guys are like, Conor McGregor, what? Conor McGregor has something to do with it because the crossover he did coming over into boxing brought a lot of MMA fans to boxing. MMA is a sport that is known where nobody cares if someone takes an L because they understand how it goes. So you have kind of, it's just like now, it's like you have a mixture of fight fans, you feel me? And I think a lot of people were lulled when it, or just dazed or manipulated by that Floyd Mayweather era where people think being undefeated means everything when it comes to boxing. When boxing is just like MMA, you can lose on any given night. One punch can change anything, right? That's my opinion when it comes to that. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate that extra light. Remember, if y'all got an opinion, y'all got anything to say, put it in the chat. It helps with the flow of the conversation, the flow of discussion. Always appreciate anybody putting in their own opinion. So that's my point when it comes to that particular interview. So now let's get into the actual discussion when we're talking about the fact that do we believe that if you are a young gun, right, you're 10, 11, 12 years old, your dad gets you to the boxing gym, you start hitting the mitts, you start hitting the glove, you start training, you realize it's something you want to do for the rest of your life. Is your goal from right there, okay, I want to be a world champion, or do I want to make as much money as I can in this sport? Because now, when it comes to boxing, you actually have those two options. I feel like back in the day, because of the corruption in boxing, I'm not saying there's not corruption in boxing today like there is back in the day. I might make that a different series, but the corruption is different. The corruption in boxing nowadays necessarily doesn't have to do with money being taken from the fighters. It has to more so being of protecting fighters, right? Which makes the actual enjoyment of the sport not what it should be like it back in the day, because it was different. You know what I'm saying? Promoters were lining their pockets up, putting any fighter against any fighter back in the day because they knew they benefited off of the best fights happening. Now that the fighters are making most of the money, they understand the more money they get comes from the less damage they take. So that's the difference. But there's corruption in both eras, but that's not what we're going to get on. What we're talking about is the fact that, okay, now, shout out to everybody. Now we're in a particular time where as a young kid coming up, you can have the idea or the goal to get the belts, but that won't necessarily mean that you're going to have financial prosperity in the sport of boxing. See? And there's two different arguments that could be made too, because some would say, well, Adrien Broner had belts at one point, so that does mean at some point you have to touch some type of belt in order to make a, you know, Adrien Broner type of money at the point where you're losing, right? That, excuse me, take a little sip. That I agree with, right? I can't dispute something like that. But we can also say, if I wanted to counter that point, I can say, well, there's a lot more belts being made, a lot more belts that no one even knows about and that a lot of people don't even respect, being handed out left and right. So you can have a young upcoming fighter at 13, 14 and 0, and if you wanted to, and if you had the money, the promotion, and the right people around you, you can have him fight for a world title with about 15 fights in, even if it's a world title people don't necessarily know about, but he's going to be making world title type of money. You see what I'm saying? So there's so many variables when it comes to this, but specifically, like I was talking about the other day, the Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, who's the ABC, right? And if there's one thing that stuck out was it's hard to argue against Joshua if you know the numbers about being the A side, because he's been getting paid so much money for so long, right? Guys like Fury, guys like Fury, right? He got paid good money when he fought Klitschko back before he took that 2-year hiatus, right? But it was nowhere near AJ money. And then Wilder is just now getting in his groove where he's making good money, right? But it's nowhere compared AJ money. So it's like, we have to realize that obviously popularity comes into play, skill level comes into play, but also investment. These fighters are investments to these promotional companies. So if this promotional company has a certain amount of money and they choose to invest more money into their potential investment than another promotional company, you have the possibility to coming out much more, you know what I'm saying, prosperous than that the promotional company that decided not to invest as much into their product. You feel me? Because just like you feel like you're doing stocks. One person could be investing into a stock that they feel like it may not end up, you know, going the way they want, but they're gonna take their chance. Or you can look at it as a bet too. I'm betting on this person, but I don't know if he's gonna win. But you're gonna bet all this money on, and they may end up winning, or the stock may end up going up, and boom, you won. But while the other person, they did the same thing and the stock went down, but they put less money on it, or they put less money on it and stock went up. So they made money, but they didn't make as much as the other person because they put more on it. Like it's the same thing. I don't want to. Like, it sounds fucked up comparing like human beings to material or products or whatever case you want to be, but that's how these businessmen look at it. And so that's why in today's day and age, the Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight, the Logan Paul versus KSI fight, these fights changed everything when it comes to combat sports, period. But we're focusing on boxing, so you have to understand boxing's not out of that. Championship fights matter, but people know names. That's why Terrence Crawford is in the position he does. You don't think Top Rank has great welterweights in their division? They do, but no one knows their names. The only names we know is PVC. You see what I'm saying? So that's how it is now, because that's the era that we're in. How many followers you got? What have you done for me lately? What you said, the press conference, the game has changed, and it's hit boxing as well. But that's also why you've seen a rise in boxing too. It also has to do with the social media wave. You have people like myself, and then obviously much more prominent channels who do their, you know, analysts of fights or analysts of situations, and some may start cults, some may be, you know what I'm saying, extra with it, you know what I'm saying, all this different stuff. It's entertainment, you feel me? So now boxing is boxing at that dead point because it was so much about the sport with the Klitschko's and the way they were dominating fights. It was so much about the science. Now it's back to being about entertainment, and that's why there's so many boxing hardcores that hate Wilder. But Wilder is essential to the time we're in right now because it feeds into that social media shit. It feeds into the quick 5-second, 10-second clips, or, you know what I'm saying, you're watching something that you never know what can happen. Like, all these things matter, and it always comes into play when it comes to money. And that's why one, Adrien Broner is a lot smarter than most of the general public see him as, because most of the general public see him only for his antics. And because of his antics, they disregard what he's done for the sport. They disregard his achievements in the sport, and they disregard his success. And a lot of people might say, no, we don't disregard it. We just feel like because of those things, he should cherish those things much better and know how to act. See, in my opinion, that's when you start intertwining talent with who the person is, achievement with what he does outside of it. You know what I'm saying? What you achieve has nothing to do with how he feels internally. Some people might associate that because people be like, if I was in his position, I'd be this way. But I think it's all the same thing. This shit is a job to him just like any other motherfucker going to a 9 to 5. So you have your ups, you have your downs, so on and so forth, right? But I'm definitely not going to get into that. Okay, what's up, Juice Kid? Juice Kid, man, he was feeling strong about it. He just had to say, fuck Donald Trump. I feel it. Chandler, what's up? I'm looking at the screen now, man. AJ is the money job. AJ numbers will outdo Wilder until Wilder beats him. Yes, I agree with that too. And actually, before I get into the numbers, I have a question, I guess, specifically for Zen, since Zen's the one in the chat. Someone made a comment on the video I made. Was Wilder regretful for turning down the $100 million contract? And he said the reason why he feels Wilder is regretful, is because if he would have beat AJ on that contract under AJ's promotion, he would have been king, right? And that made me think, this whole time I was thinking Wilder bet on himself by staying with Showtime and Fox. But in reality, wouldn't he have been betting on himself more by taking a contract under a promotion that was promoting his rival as king, right? And then beating him on that same contract, and then beating him again, and giving Eddie Hearn no choice but to make him what he thought AJ was supposed to be. That was a thought I had. I might actually, that might be something that would be necessary for a video I'd have to make separately, or a live stream you have to go, because I'd be interested to see what people thought about that. Because this whole time I was thinking, you know what, Wilder did what he was supposed to do. He bet on himself. He stayed with PBC. But then if you look at the numbers, you look at the earnings, and then when you look at that particular perspective, it's like, I guess the ultimate gamble was if he would have actually took that $100 million contract, fought AJ the first time, beat him, and the only reason why there was a second fight for AJ because they put a rematch clause for AJ if he would have lost. If AJ would have won, there was no rematch clause. I hope people know that. And then obviously beat him again. But that's a big what if. That's 2020 vision. So oh yeah, okay, so that's cool, man. We 25 minutes into this discussion. I've been enjoying it. I feel like I've been giving y'all some good content. So if y'all in the chat right now, go ahead, throw a like, throw a thumbs up, whatever it may be. As always, we talking boxing up in here. Give your opinion on the inside. Let me give you guys a recap of what we are talking about. Adrien Broner is saying that money is more important than belts. If you don't believe me, look at myself as an example. A lot of people would say, Adrien Broner, how can I look at you when you took in all these L's, right? When he hasn't taken that many L's, it's only 4, but he took in all these L's, right? But it's not about the L's, it's about the money that's being paid. This is a business, it's only about the money. And if you are getting paid the same as a champion, then does having a belt really matter, or being a draw matter? I've already argued that there's been certain instances when it came to the last decade that happened, that changed and shifted when it came to combat sports in general, specifically boxing. And boxing now has actually benefited from it, and they're only basically keeping with the wave. Eddie Hearn has actually been the best to actually pick up on it, in my opinion. That's why Eddie Hearn was a promoter of the year in 2019, and I feel like it'll probably be in 2020. I will do a live stream on that when it is right. I want to get all the information together why Eddie Hearn is the promoter of 2019. What we're going to do right now, since we are 27 minutes in, okay, Young Zen came back with it. Nah, because so Young Zen came back with it. Now, because Wilder is actually interested in winning the belts. He's only heavyweights talking about unifying division, so I feel it will eventually work in his favor. Wilder isn't as crispy as he is now, so he could have lost during that time because it went 12 rounds. Wilder have lost in the cards. I understand. It's all, and see, I understand that perspective as well. See, and that's why I get both sides, because it's like, when you look at it, Wilder knew at that particular time, especially the way AJ was built up, like he's saying, even though you say, okay, it would have been a lot more of him betting on himself going and signing that contract, there was a lot more chips that were stacked up against him that's hard to surpass when it comes to the game of boxing. And that's when kind of the corruption comes in. And that's what a lot of people kind of don't look at when they look at their favorite boxers and emotions. Wilder could have bet on himself. He could have took that contract and he could have beat AJ the first time, whatever it may be. But I want you guys to know the stipulations for him to beat him. It would have been astronomical. It would have been hard to overcome. So I get both sides when it comes to that. I totally do. But it's it's something to think about. If there's one thing though I do notice is a lot of people when it comes to AJ and Wilder, they don't really, either they don't know the numbers or they just don't care about the numbers, because I feel like I don't believe in the word ducking period when it comes to boxing. That shit is just not real to me, right? But for you to say Wilder is ducking someone or AJ is ducking someone, like, y'all tripping. This all has to do with money. That's all it has to do with. But all right, y'all, so we 28 minutes. We're gonna take a short little 5-minute break, and I'm gonna come right back and I'm gonna finish the rest of this discussion, okay? And basically what we're going to get into is the numbers. The second half of this discussion is gonna have to do with all of the numbers that is going to either support or debunk what Adrien Broner said when it comes to belts does not mean more than money when it comes to boxing nowadays, or let's say this, belts does not mean more than popularity when it comes to generating wealth in the sport of boxing. I'm going to break down the numbers. We're going to look at Manny Pacquiao versus Adrien Broner. You already see it here. Adrien Broner versus Danny Garcia numbers. Broner versus Adrian Granados. Terrence Crawford's last 3 fights of what he made. Broner versus Vargas purses. Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman's purses, and some of the last purses Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman made, as well as Earl Spence Jr. and Porter. We're going to look at all of these numbers. We're going to put them together, and the whole point of doing this is to see if AB stacks up with all of these guys I just named. If AB's purses stack up with all these other guys' purses I just named, AB will be proven right, because technically all these other guys I just named, they should be getting paid more than AB, because technically AB is a washed bum. That's what they say, right? All right, so give me about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm gonna be right back. If y'all rocking with me right now, stay here. I'm going to take a short little break. 4 minutes, we're gonna come back and we're gonna hit the numbers, y'all. Hit the numbers. Let me do this too. We're gonna get right in. I ain't gonna leave y'all hanging. Okay, right before I leave, Young Zen somebody asked me earlier during the game whether I think Spence was gonna fight next. So I'm gonna make sure I go into that as well. I'm gonna be right back, and we're gonna talk about who we think maybe we'll see Spence fight next. You heard me? Give me about a couple minutes, and I'll be right back. Alright. Alright, I'm back, y'all. I went to play, had a little music playing for y'all while I was gone, but I had some technical malfunctions. But that's something in the future, like, once again, you know what I'm saying? This is only my, I'm gonna say, 4th stream I've done with this, so I'm gonna get better as it goes. You guys remember, we're constantly trying to improve everything, the quality, the sound quality, everything about it. So I promise you, the more I'm doing this, the more everything about this is going to get better. It's not going to keep being like this. You're going to see little bit increments of improvements as we go on. That's the goal when it comes to this. So shout out to everyone rocking with me right now. Hopefully y'all Sunday night is going good. If y'all here, y'all probably already know what the topic is about. We're talking about his money over belts 2020 boxing. Is that the case? Broner made the claim. Robert Garcia backed him up. Ellie, when it comes to E! News, he asked him, would you rather walk into a grocery store with 20 million in the bank or 20 million belts or 20 belts, whatever it may be? He said 20 million in the bank. That's an easy answer. So what are we gonna look at now? We're gonna look at the numbers. And I'm almost mad at myself because I'm like, God damn it, I should have called this We Talking About Numbers. But that's not what this is. I just have to make sure you guys understand that either this is a factual statement or this is just AB talking out of his ass. Okay, so you have been looking at this page for a little while now, right? Broner and Garcia. This is Adrien Broner versus Mikey Garcia. Why is this relevant? Why does this mean anything? Because at this time, Mikey Garcia was coming off a win against Robert Easter Jr. No, or let me correct that. Robert Easter Jr. came after. We don't get it right. I don't want to give you guys any type of bullshit. So let's go to his boxing rec, okay? Alright, so when he fought Adrien Broner, that's when he came off his layoff. He had not fought for about 6 months. Before that, he had fought Dejan Kanine. I'm probably saying that wrong. He won by KO in impressive fashion. And then he fought Adrien Broner afterwards, okay? So, at this time, let's go ahead and look at Adrien Broner before he fought Mikey Garcia. Because all this is going to matter. He beat Adrian Granados, okay? He had beat Adrian Granados. Before that, beat Ashley Theafon. And he also beat Khabib. But remember, he had lost to Sean Porter. That's where he lost his belt, right? But then he fought for the vacant World Boxing Association Super Light title. Fought for the vacant Super Light title. And then that's when he moved up in weight against Adrian Granados. And then he fought for that Super Light title against Mikey Garcia. So this is for the title fight right here when he fought Mikey Garcia, okay? Please remember me saying this because it's going to be important because we're going to look at what Adrien Broner made against Granados as well. Because if you remember, Adrien Broner did not fight for a title, if you can see that, against Granados, okay? So, check this out. They both made 1 million. You guys probably already knew I was going to say that because you guys have been looking at this page for a while. But they both made 1 million each. Mikey Garcia made 1 million, as did Adrien Broner. Mikey Garcia came off that knockout win. Once again, that was for the world lightweight title. Light title. So, please, what I said wasn't wrong. Mikey Garcia was technically a world champion going into the Adrien Broner fight. Adrien Broner going into the Mikey Garcia fight was not. Yet, Adrien Broner and Mikey Garcia got paid the same. Now, that's not supposed to happen, guys. Even though they're fighting for a different belt, Mikey Garcia is still technically a champion. Broner is not. They both got paid 1 million, okay? Now, Broner made 1 million for his fight against Adrien Granados. Remember, that was the fight before. Remember, I told you guys, remember this. I told you it was going to be important. If you guys were looking at the screen, you guys would have seen, okay, this is important. Adrien Granados, that was not for a belt. That's when he moved up. He dropped his belt after beating Ashley Theafon, and then he fought Adrien Granados at welterweight. Okay? All right? And he made 1 million for that fight. Then he made 1 million against Mikey. Mikey made 1 million against Broner, okay? Let me show you guys this too. Okay? If we can get it, let's see if we can get it. What I'm gonna try and see if we can get Mikey versus Dejan and then Colin purse. I want to get the purse here because let's see how much he jumped up. Here we go. Purses. We're getting it from BoxingNews24.com. Okay, he was tool and other purses on the card. Get out of this. And the other purses on the card, WC lightweight champion Adrien Clean will be making less than his challenger Mikey Garcia for their co-feature. So Clean will be making $320,000. Mikey Garcia made $375,000 before he fought Adrien Broner, but Mikey Garcia won a belt this fight. Adrien Broner did not have a belt, but Adrien Broner he basically allowed Mikey Garcia to make more money by allowing him to fight him. Do you guys realize this? There's got to be breaking news right here. People don't talk about this. People want to get at Adrien Broner all they want. They want to talk shit. Think about this. Has anybody thought about this? Adrien Broner doesn't even have to fight Mikey Garcia. Actually, Adrien Broner is doing Mikey Garcia a favor by allowing him to fight him. Adrien Broner said, oh, you want to fight me? All right, bet. Garcia went from $375K as a payday to $1 mil because he fought AB. AB made on $1 mil before he fought Mikey, bruh. He fought Granados and made $1 mil. But Garcia was a champ, correct? Hey, we just getting started, y'all. We just getting started. Okay. So, as of now, it seems like Adrien Broner, his statement it seems like it's pretty solid. But let's look at some other numbers, right? What do we want to look at next? What do we want to look at next? Let's look at Spence versus Porter. That's what I want to look at. No. We're going to look at that after this. Let's look at Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman. I like this. So if you guys remember, they fought in 2017. Danny Garcia made $2 million. Keith Thurman made $2 million. As you can see here, we have the recent purse history as well. See, now y'all not going to be rocking with me unless you fuck with the numbers. If you don't fuck with the numbers, y'all not going to be rocking with me. But we going to give y'all the numbers. We going to show you why Adrien Broner, he's like an evil version of Floyd. And you think Floyd is the evil version. Now, AB is the evil version of Floyd. Because in reality, when you're looking at the numbers, AB is a lot smarter than a lot of y'all think. There's a reason why AB was able to retire. And now he wants to come back. You ain't Floyd, nigga. Look at your numbers. We looking at the numbers. The ones that matter. That's what he's saying. He said your record don't matter no more. The belts don't matter no more. It's what you getting paid. So let's go ahead and look at this. Recent purse history. Keith Thurman has earned $1.5 million in disclosed purse against Robert Guerrero. So that was before the Danny Garcia fight. And then when he fought Sean Porter, he also made another 1.5. Okay, so Keith Thurman, undefeated, consistent championship. Consistent champion at 147. At this time, especially what we're talking about, probably one of the scariest in the division. When he beat Sean Porter, beat Robert Guerrero, both of them he got paid $1.5 million. Then he got paid $2 million against Danny Garcia. So this is a slight pay raise when it comes to what Adrien Broner made, and obviously it's a huge pay raise when it comes to what Mikey Garcia made, right? So Adrien Broner, as someone who's basically not a champion, not a star, he's getting paid the same numbers as a Keith Thurman, who is a undefeated champion at this time. Remember, this is 2017 when I'm talking about Keith Thurman numbers. So these numbers are actually the ones that are most dated when it comes to all the numbers I'm showing you. Okay, now Danny Garcia, on the other hand, earned slightly less than Thurman in his 3 fights: 1.5 million against Peterson, 1.2 against Malignaggi, 1.5 against Guerrero. Okay, so Danny Garcia, I remember Danny Garcia was he lost to Sean Porter before this Keith Thurman fight, if I believe correctly, or either Porter fought him after Garcia. I think Porter actually fought Thurman after Garcia. At the time, Garcia, I believe, also had a belt as well. So this is championship pay. And if you guys don't want to believe me, if you guys want to see if I'm lying, let's go ahead and look at Danny Garcia's boxing rec. Let's do that, because if you guys want to say, okay, well, he's not getting paid, let's go ahead and look at that. So Robert Guerrero, if you guys can see, that was for the World Boxing Welterweight title when he fought him. Paulie Malignaggi, it was not for a title. Lamont, it was not for a title. So the one fight he did fight for a title, it was the same amount of money, for the most part, that he fought for when it came to not having a title. But you remember Peterson and Malignaggi at the time, those were two pretty big name fighters that he fought. So that kind of cancels it out as well. But you can make an argument. You can see him like Danny Garcia is making somewhat to the T or the same amount of money Adrien Broner is making. But that would kind of, in a sense, strengthen Adrien Broner's argument as well, because remember, Garcia, he didn't actually fight for a title until he fight Guerrero, okay? So, in a sense, it's like, all right, well, yeah, Garcia is making maybe a little bit more than Broner, at least during this time period. Remember, this is 2017, without a title. So it kind of strengthens what he was talking about at that same type of point. You have two different people that you can actually pinpoint now what we're talking about, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and go to what I was about to say next. Spence versus Porter, okay? These numbers actually mean a lot to me. How much does Errol Spence and Sean Porter make per fight? So, Spence earned a career high of $8 million. All right, now we're not going to put this into perspective because we're talking about pay-per-view buys with it. So his purse was $3 million when he fought Porter. Porter made what was it? Okay, Porter made about 1.25, or I think a little bit more than that. So Spence made $3 million against Porter, and then that fight he made 1.2 million, and then he made 1.2 million when he beat Brook. Okay, so all these numbers are on par with the same numbers that Adrien Broner is making, and this is when he fought Adrian Granados for 1 million, and then he fought Mike Garcia for 1 million. I haven't even gotten to his last two fights. I haven't gotten to Vargas. I haven't gotten to Manny Pacquiao. I'm making a point that Broner is making the same amount of money fighting a guy like Granados. No disrespect to Mike Garcia, but then fighting Mike Garcia, who came off the long layoff. Like, Mike Garcia picked Adrien Broner for a reason. He came off that long layoff knowing, if I fight a guy like Adrien Broner, people are going to still be interested. If you disagree with that, let me know. That's a hard thing to disagree with. So, I haven't even gotten these numbers yet. So, look at this right here. So, Porter, career high of 1.25 million when he fought Ugas. And then he made 1 million when he beat Danny Garcia, okay? And that was the first time Porter made $1 million when he fought Danny Garcia. That was in 2018, if I want to believe. I believe that was in 2018, if I want to be correct. If not 2018, it was 2017. It was one of the two. But it was 2018, if I want to be 100% sure. It was 2018. So, 1 million for Porter, 1.25 million. And then when it comes to Errol Spence, Errol made 3 million when he came into his purse, and then 1.2 million and 1.2 million in his other last two fights. So in Spence's last 3 fights, he made approximately about 6 to 7 mil, while Porter made about 3 to 4 mil. And then if we want to talk about, we don't necessarily have to talk about what Mikey Garcia made, because I'm not really putting them right there. I just kind of put out those stats just so you guys won't question me. But I'm going to talk about the elite of the elite when it comes to the 147 division, or at least the guys that everybody knows their name. And everybody knows Errol Spence. Everyone knows Sean Porter. Everyone knows Danny Garcia. So Errol Spence made, like I said, about 7 million, and then Porter made about maybe like 4 or 5 million. Okay, and then we want to talk about Danny Garcia. I don't have Danny Garcia's recent numbers, but he made about 7 million. He made about the same as Spence when it came to up to 2017. Now to 2019, he may not have made the same numbers as that, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go with these numbers because I like looking at these numbers, because Keith Thurman is another top guy in that 147 division, and seeing his numbers, he makes about 7 million. So the top guy when it comes to 147 in the last decade hasn't really made more than 7 million outside of when Floyd fight. Okay, these are the top guys that we're looking at when it comes to this division. So we're looking at about 7.5, 8 million that these guys are making. Adrien Broner made 2 mil when it came to the Granados fight, when it came to the Mikey Garcia fight. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what he made against Manny Pacquiao. Let's go ahead and look at what he made against Vargas, and let's go ahead and put everything together. Remember, I appreciate everybody in the chat. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna take a second to say that. Give me a like, you know what I'm saying? Give me a subscribe button. I appreciate all that. Remember, it helps everything. that I'm doing here, and I'm going to keep giving you guys more content the way I'm giving it to you. And I'm going to try and be as thorough as possible. Everything's going to get better. So once again, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Appreciate it all. Appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate y'all supporting, okay? All right, so let's look at these numbers right here. I'm going to look at Vargas first before I go to Pacquiao. I don't know why. Pacquiao's the big man, so I'm going to leave him for last, okay? We're going to look at Vargas. So we don't have purse details, is what they're saying from this particular website. It's FightSaga.com, but we'll update the article when we receive them. Our best guess is AB will be paid $850 to $1 million, or Vargas will earn $470. Okay, based on the trend side, we'll expect AB to earn a standard $1 million. Okay, and we actually have the Adrien Broner purse history here too. So it's actually kind of this is a beautiful way that this ended up going, because I didn't expect this to actually come. So if you can see Adrien Broner's purse history right here. Literally in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights, he hasn't made under $1 million. How many of those fights were actually title fights? Let's look at the boxing rec, huh? And we're going all the way back to Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana was for the welterweight title, lost that. Carlos Molina won that super light title. Emmanuel Taylor, super light title. John Molina Jr., no title. Porter, no title. Khabib, super light title. Theophane, world super light title. So he's had more title fights actually than he's had when it comes to non-title fights. So now, see, this is why we look at the numbers, and this is why you have to continue to look at things, and you have to continue to dissect the information that's in front of you, because you get to the point that we're at now, and if you actually look at the statement Broner made, it seems to be slowly falling apart the more we talk about this, because if we see that he has gotten paid no more than under $1 million in literally his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights, but majority of them were title fights, then that does mean you do have to be either a title holder, title contender, or somewhere in that regard in order to make the money. You can't just chase the money. See, Adrien Broner might be saying that now because as of recent, he's realized, well, my future as a consistent and a long withstanding title holder may be coming to an end, but me being a big draw, me being the face of a fight where no one would expect me to fight this person, or this or me being able to do these antics to make people watch a card that people may not watch, he still has that. So because of that, he's going to support that. Because if you look at everything we just looked at, yes, Adrien Broner, he's been getting paid just as good as the as you could say, the title holders, I guess you could say. But majority of his fights, last 9, 10 fights, has been title fights, right? So it's hard to go against that. Hey, yo, what's good with it, Matthew Valentine, man? Appreciate you, man. Gotta shout you out, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Remember, if y'all ain't here, man, go ahead, throw a like, man, or either subscribe. It helps with everything, because I'm going to keep giving you guys these different type of topics, and always the topics are going to revolve around facts and numbers, so I appreciate y'all up in here. So remember, in the beginning of this discussion, it seemed as if, because remember I started with that clip. If I still had the clip up, I would throw it up, but I'm not going to try and look for it. But the clip, Robert Garcia was being interviewed by Ellie News, and Ellie said, AB said that it's all about the money now. It's not about chasing the belts. He asked Robert Garcia, would you rather have 20 million going to the grocery store or 20 belts? And Robert Garcia basically agreed with it. He said, well, I gotta agree with you, because now the game has changed. It's more of a business. Well, I agree with him to an extent, but I feel like it's always been a business. It's just the business has switched, where the money has gone into the pockets of the fighters more than it's gone to the pockets of the promoters. So now you have the fighters deciding more so who they want to fight, when they want to fight, how they want to fight, and the promoters actually tell them. That's the difference, right? Because if we look at everything that we've looked at, that statement sounds good, but it's actually invalid. You have to in somewhat be title contention, title holder. Yes, popularity has to surround you, but remember, when you touch that title, you get paid more. We just talked about the fact that Mikey Garcia versus Adrien Broner was a title fight. Mikey Garcia was a title holder before, but Part of it had to do with AB, but another part of it had to do with the title he was fighting for. He went from 325K to $1 million. Okay? So all these things matter. And this last little piece, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in. The only reason I'm going to be talking about this is just because I feel like Terrence Crawford, excuse me, I said Crawford. What's wrong with me? Terrence Crawford, one of my other favorite fighters, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't expect it because I'm over here pronouncing his name wrong. The money that this guy is making in comparison to any of the other people I just named to you is destroying the game. A lot of people want to ask, why is Terrence Crawford staying with Top Rank? I'm going to give it to you right here, okay? And I'm going to run through this quick. I think I'm actually going to make this a video on its own, because Terrence Crawford gets a lot of disrespect, he gets a lot of hate, and he gets a lot of speculation when it comes to boxing fans, just because obviously for some reason there's some type of stigma or some type of dumbass, I don't even know what it is, the way they feel about Bob Earl. But you know what I'm saying, if you don't know what actually went down, if you ain't looked it up, you ain't figured it out, then you shouldn't even speak on that situation, because it's not exactly what a lot of people think it is. But that's not what we get into. What we get into is, for some reason, Terrence Crawford is looked at as some type of just enigma when it comes to the boxing world, even though Lomachenko isn't. Lomachenko's the best in the world. We're talking about Lomachenko versus Gervonta Davis, Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell, but Terrence Crawford for some reason can't get no fight. Crawford's the odd man out when it comes to 147 division. He's the one. Everyone wants to stop hearing crying about this. Stop crying about this. Oh, if you really the best welterweight in the world, then why you still with Top Rank? This is why he's still with Top Rank right here. Y'all see the money he's getting paid, right? Y'all see the money he's getting paid, right? The money this man is getting paid is so, I'm not gonna say so much more, but as you can see, on average, all the way back to 2015, he was getting paid more money than Danny Garcia, Adrien Broner, Earl Spence, Keith Thurman, and the list continues. But yet people want to ask Terrence Crawford, why do you continue to stay with Top Rank? And this is just the purses. We ain't talking about sponsorship money. We're not talking about pay-per-view money, because I'm not sure how many of these fights have been on pay-per-view, and I'm not going to even get into it. Whatever extra incentives he has under the table with Bob Earl for staying with him, bonus money, this is just off of his purses. And the highest purse we've seen that everyone we looked at was a was a Spence versus Porter fight, where Spence made $3 million. That was the highest that he's made in just purse. Crawford made $3 million in June 9th of 2018 against Jeff Horn. Then he made 3.6 against Jose Benavidez. Against Amir Khan, he made 5.5 mil. Against Cavi Velasquez, he made 4 mil. So, if y'all don't, anybody in here in this chat right now, first and foremost, give a like, give a subscribe. Appreciate y'all watching. But if any of y'all, if y'all around boxing fans and they like, why Terrence Crawford with Top Rank? He's running, he's ducking. I want you guys to go to fightsaga.com/fightsaga/news/Terrence Crawford net worth purses earnings. And I want you to show them how much money that he's making with Top Rank strictly off of the purse. Over $1 million since 2016, probably 2015. So I want you to show them this and be like, this is why he's here. This is how much he's getting paid. Similar to what AJ's doing over there with Matchroom. Same reason why Loma's still with ESPN. They pay the biggest. But we're gonna go ahead and close this out very soon. Shout out to Young Zen in the young chat. He said AB is Floyd when it comes to the money. That's a fact. Floyd just didn't lose, so more people went to watch. Exactly. Floyd didn't lose, more people watched, which means more money was generated. But AB, of course, he lost, so not as much money was generated when it comes to what Floyd created. But considering the stigma on boxing where it says you can't make big financial gains or be relevant in the sport of boxing with multiple losses, Adrien Broner proved that wrong. We looked at the numbers. He's making just as much as any of these other top 147s are making, especially when it comes to his own promotional team, which is the PBC camp. Danny Garcia, this was a surprise, but it actually proved that he also made a significant amount of money when he wasn't champ, but when he was title contender. But the interesting thing about this whole argument is it actually debunks what Adrien Broner said, saying that money means more than belts, because in reality the reason why all these guys are making the amount of money they're making is because they were either title holders at one point or they were title contenders consistently, because once again, if we look at the fights and the numbers, Adrien Broner had more title fights than he did not. So at the end of the day, if you want to get to the bag when it comes to boxing, the formula hasn't changed. You still want to get a belt, because the belt is what leads to the bag ultimately. And once again, I'm going to close with this right here. The numbers when it came to when Manny Pacquiao fought Broner. This has been Broner's biggest payday in his last 9 to 10 fights. Broner pocketed $2.5 million, while Pacquiao earned $10 million. So Broner pocketed actually something very similar to what Spence pocketed against Porter. As you guys can see here, Spence got $3 million. Broner got $2.5 against Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, Broner was coming off a loss, and he got basically the same as Earl Spence. Obviously, you guys are gonna look at this article and say, well, it says he got $8 million. He got $8 million because it says the 360,000 pay-per-view buys. Manny versus Adrien Broner was a pay-per-view card. They got close to 500,000, so that means Adrien Broner probably made more than Spence in his last fight. So back and forth. It's hard to, you know what I'm saying? Like I just said, Broner was not a champion when it came to this Manny Pacquiao fight, but he earned more than Earl Spence did against Porter. Earl Spence earned the highest amount of money when it came to all of the top heavyweights we reviewed, when it comes to Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and Keith Thurman. Mikey Garcia, Vargas, whoever you want to talk about. The only person who outperformed everybody when it comes to the numbers, when it comes to the money, is Terrence Crawford. Let me show you guys that right here. Anybody wants to question why does Terrence Crawford continue to be with the snake, the scumbag Bob Earl, is because he gets paid better than anybody that we talked about on this stream, literally since 2015. When a lot of the people we talked about didn't get paid good money until maybe their last 3 fights. The only people who didn't was Adrien Broner. He got consistently paid $1 million in his last 10 fights. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Spence, and Porter. Vargas, Mikey Garcia just now started making the big money. So that's basically the summary when it comes to this whole stream, guys. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Appreciate everyone here. I appreciate y'all being respectful, man. That's what it's about. Once again, if y'all in here, throw a like, subscribe, check out the SoundCloud, BlakGooseTV as always, and hey man, I hope y'all enjoy your Sunday, man, because I'm gonna try to, because I ain't have the greatest one, but this right here, man, this is what I enjoy doing, and lifting my spirits, so I appreciate y'all.